Oh, yeah. So, welcome back to another Gap Fest, and I'm going to talk a bit about plateaus. So, I have been flipping for about a year, and I don't know. It's an enjoyable hobby, but the main thing about it is plateauing is kind of where I'm at right now. Some people consider me like intermediate flipper. Some people might consider me still beginner. I'm like, oh, I'm still beginner flipper. Cause like I mess up the helix quite a lot. Might be able to do like, I don't know, like pinky catches and all that. But even something as basic as a helix, I tend to mess up quite a lot. And I'm like in this weird space where it's like, I want to progress into like other parts of the hobby, but I don't really know like what I'm feeling flipping wise, you know? And sometimes if it's like, so like for example, one thing that I can't really get down right now is a giraffe. Like I can do the individual parts, right? I could like catch the scissors, then getting it onto my hair is fine, and then like doing a couple of rotations on the pinky, on the ring finger is also fine. But the issue is like getting it smooth, and I can't really piece together with my hand how to get that like super smooth. Like the other day, I was trying to learn like aerials into chaplains, and like sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't, and I don't really have like a good frame of reference for how to improve this part of my flipping, you know. So that's what I'm talking about, plateaus. So another thing is like that I wish this hobby had was like more guided paths to every lesson rather than going to r/ballad song or whatever. Like I wish there was like other avenues with like their own metric, like aim training, right? For example, there's stuff like voltaic has like their own series of benchmarks for you to get to different levels of aim competency. And when you learn these tricks or you do them in a certain metric or whatever, then it would be like, you consider a certain level. So some people might be like, oh, you're intermediate, maybe high intermediate. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine. But, everyone makes mistakes as a flipper, but then mainly just the lack of knowing what's advanced, what's not. And then like another thing is like, I really wish there was more tutorial about pinky stuff. Because I see people do like pinky fans and pinky chaplains and like setting up into like different moves on their pinky and using their ring finger and ring digits more. I wish there was like more tutorials for some of this stuff. Like I get it's things you learn because all like your favorite flippers been flipping for years. Anywho, yeah, I just really wish there's more content on this. Right, and I kind of, apart from like the whole thing of having like guided like steps for each direction, I wouldn't say like it has to be guided the whole time, because freestyling is again another part of this hobby, because everybody has their own combo. Like Ethan from Blade Bias does a whole thing where it's not like a behind eight ball. It's like he does this and then whips it, does like that, and then he goes into his like reverse fan, the choker thing, and that's his whole thing. For a while, for me, like my just whole default combo was like, I can't remember. It was like kind of the whole thing like this: ricochet, under, rev, this, and then that into a chaplain, or do that into like a Z choker ice pick catch, because like that's the only catch I could do like somewhat consistently, except when I'm recording, because that's how it is. But I wish there was like more references for like the hobby, right? I wish there was more guided everything throughout it, like guided space, guided tutorials, that you could kind of improve knowing where you're starting now and where you're gonna go moving forward, right? So like right now, I think the giraffe is like the main thing I would want to learn. But then also like I saw stuff like the cat, and it's like sometimes it's like you don't even know the name of some of the moves that people are doing. It's like, I want to learn this, or I want to learn this movement, or I want to learn that movement, and you're wondering like, how do I end up in a position where I could learn this specific movement, or where somebody can explain it and make it a little bit easier for me to like fully grasp my head around. Then there's like, you wonder, am I plateauing because of like what I'm flipping? Because again, like there are ballad songs that like objectively flip better. Like let me see. A Nami's gonna flip better than like, you know, the Squiddy AL, or your regular Squiddy that you could like buy for like $40. I mean, the price, it better flip better. The clones flip worse than the originals for a lot because, you know, the tender love and care versus mass producing, things like that. So you wonder sometimes, is it really like a skill difference? So for me, I feel like the flipping that I'm doing right now, it's a bit of a skill difference because I can't keep it going. I can't like get it down. Is it the weight of my bellies? Is how I'm doing it? And another thing is like maybe finding plateauing because I haven't found like my preferred weight distribution. I don't know. So the whole thing with plateauing for me, or like how to overcome it, maybe learning new tricks or trying new movements or different variants, and then also trying maybe some offhand flipping. Now, like for offhand flipping, the drama is not as complicated as the other types of flipping because it's like a combination of, like, you know, you're sitting flipping, it's harder for you to generate momentum. So I'm just making this harder for myself here. But it's like relearning the movements kind of like on your like less dominant hand. So for me, this hand really good at tapping instances because of playing games like Osu, or really good at some movement capabilities because of like playing competitive gaming, playing like high intensity games to, like, you know, complete certain skills. But then like with flipping, it's like there's weird things that, you know, I can't really get the grasp on when it comes overall to just like flipping in my left hand. It's like putting something you didn't use as much for, because it's now like the whole thing with writing with the left hand is awkward because your brain hasn't built the synaptic neurons. I'm like, yeah, it's easy to learn how to be an ambidextrous flipper at the end of the day, but it's like putting like brain power into it sometimes it's a little bit difficult. So the thing with offhand flipping is, again, your left hand, because of how the like fibers are set up, because really that's, I mean, I did biology in high school. The muscle fibers are connected. They're like nerve fibers, muscle fibers, all of it, and your brain acts on impulse responses. So you build muscle memory. Some people say it's fake, but it's like you can build certain responses or known patterns within your brain, because we're very pattern-based people, to know that, okay, I've thrown this, I can feel the momentum, I know what my hand has to do, then I just do it again. But then trying to do it in the opposite hand where you haven't built it, it's a bit awkward. So you feel even more of like a beginner if you learn on your left hand. And that's where I came down to it. Maybe the way for me to overcome the plateau that I kind of feel right now a little bit is like learning how to flip with my offhand. Because like relearning just the fundamentals might show me something that like I might have missed, or allow me to like have a different person's experience, like not a different person, but like a different experience when trying to flip. So this is going to look like a lot more choppy and awkward because, like, again, I don't flip in my left hand. And it's weird because like the other night I was like just messing around and like kind of started doing a Z choker with this hand. I'm like, oh, why can't I do it? Like, because like all the time I literally just do that lift and then go into a Z choker. Most of the time don't drop it, but of course you're recording, you're gonna drop it more than normal, and then now you look like an absolute clown. Okay, one more try. Right, up there, close enough. Right, then the whole learning from a different hand, and I just throw it on the ground, learning through a different hand, through a different medium, and just making it work, right? So the whole thing of like putting new muscle memory in, you might miss something or find a more comfortable and efficient way of doing it, or find new flow techniques just because you're using a different hand. And then also for me now, I'm thinking too much because like trying to film this while I'm hopefully getting a head mount soon so that I could like properly film everything and not be as like worried as much about like framing and blah blah blah. So it's like filming all of this, and like flipping while filming is actually pretty difficult. But then also now, okay, back to topic. The whole thing of plateaus is you just kind of wish there was a bit more content in, wouldn't say overcoming plateau. Blade Bias is a very good video about it. Ghost Flipping also has a pretty good video about it. But I think there was like more structured things about getting to different levels. Or like, okay, do this, you know, maybe, you know, start learning these like low advanced, low intermediate tricks, you know, spice it up a bit, add some difficulty where you're not going to start feeling like you're plateauing, but then also that you're getting up. This is my 2 cents on plateaus. I don't have much else to say. So yeah.